What's up YouTube, Saf here on SuperSaf TV and welcome to another SuperSaf style camera comparison. This time it is between the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus versus the Google Pixel and Pixel XL. So in the usual style, we'll be doing both front and rear facing camera tests. We'll be looking at both images and video too. Do also look out for the audio icon in the corner of the screen, and that will indicate to you which device the audio is coming from, and I'll be switching between these two to give you guys a better idea of the differences in audio as well. So we're currently using the front facing cameras on both devices. We are in my car, but we've got plenty of light coming in. We're going to be switching to the rear facing camera and then doing lots of tests including low light, so let's get straight to it. So now we've switched over to the rear facing cameras. We are filming at 4K on both devices. And although this video is exported out at 1080p, this does mean that we can crop in much further. Now let's just take a bit of a walk at 4K. Both of these are mounted to the same device, so let's see how well they do for stabilization. Now we are at 1080p doing the same stabilization test. Usually because 1080p does work a little bit better on stabilization for most smartphones, so that you get a bit of a better idea. Now I'm just going to start running to really give it a test. Both seem to be doing really well. Let me know in the comments below. So now we're indoors in room lighting with the Pixel XL, and the autofocus, very snappy. Impressive. It's snapping on really quickly from a subject that's near to something that's far. And I'm pretty impressed. Now same lighting with the 7 Plus. Also seems to be doing pretty well. Definitely not as quick as the Pixel XL. There you go. So the further subject is taking a little bit longer to focus into sometimes. So that was the video. Now before we move on to images, just to clarify what we're working with here. So the Google Pixel and Pixel XL have an 8 megapixel front facing camera with an f2.4 aperture and a 12.3 megapixel rear facing camera with an f2.0 aperture. However, both front and back cameras have slightly larger pixels compared to most other smartphones, and you have electronic image stabilization, not optical. Now with the iPhone 7 Plus, you have a primary 12 megapixel camera which has an f1.8 aperture and optical image stabilization. This is the same that's found on the iPhone 7, but the Plus does have an additional camera which is a telephoto camera, and this allows you optical zoom with an f2.8 aperture. For the front facing camera, it's 7 megapixels with an f2.2 aperture. Now if you want to customize the look of your smartphones like I have done here for the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, then definitely check out our sponsor Dbrand. They provide some nice quality skins for lots of different devices, and I'll be leaving a link to them in the description below. Now another disclaimer is that all images and video have been taken on automatic. I haven't tweaked any of the settings, and this is just to get the most real experience that you're going to be finding with all of the cameras. Now that that's clear, let's get straight into it. So starting off with some selfies. I like both images here. Although the Pixel is winning it for me, it's sharper, you've got better dynamic range. It looks like the focus is slightly off on the iPhone 7 Plus. Now, I know some of you keep saying that, Saf, you should not wear your shades when taking a selfie because the iPhone doesn't recognize your face as well when you have shades on. Well, it should recognize my face when I have shades on. If you're somebody like me or Casey Neistat who wears shades a lot, then this should be something that you just should expect. However, just to be as fair as possible, I did take some shots without glasses, and here you can see that we still have better dynamic range on the Pixel XL compared to the iPhone 7 Plus. Going in 100%, once again, the detail is slightly better on the Pixel. If you look towards my beard, it has maintained detail better here compared to the iPhone 7 Plus. So for the selfies outdoors, I would give the edge to the Pixel. Now moving on to an indoor image in room lighting, so quite low light, and both are doing pretty well here. I like the colors a little bit better on the 7 Plus, although the Pixel XL is sharper. If we go in 100%, you can see this further. If you look towards my beard once again, you can see that more detail has been maintained on the Pixel XL compared to the iPhone 7 Plus. The iPhone 7 Plus, however, does have a front-facing flash, which does make a bit of an improvement here, but the Pixel XL still does have more detail. And also, I couldn't find a front-facing flash option on the Pixel. This doesn't seem to be on the stock app. Now, moving outdoors, a macro shot.
Both doing absolutely great here. Both images looking very, very similar as well. I did double check to see that they did come from separate devices. Both are doing great here anyway. Lots of detail, a nice shallow depth of field, which also looks very, very good. Let's go in 100%, and here once again you can see that we have some great detail, very, very sharp, and the pixel does seem to be doing a little bit better bringing out those shadows. So if you look towards the darker areas of this flower, the Pixel XL is bringing those shadows up a little bit compared to the iPhone 7 Plus, but nevertheless both are doing a great job. Now an outdoor wide shot, I think both are doing great here. The Pixel seems to be a bit more on the vibrant side, so this will come down to your personal preference. This is something that we normally see on Samsung devices, but essentially it does come down to your personal preference. I think both are doing great. Having a look at another wide shot, this one I would give the win to the Pixel because of the better dynamic range. Now HDR was on auto on both, and both of them did use it. However, the Pixel is doing a better job here with the HDR Plus. If you look towards the cloud, you can see those are much better maintained on the Pixel compared to the iPhone 7 Plus. Now one thing that the iPhone 7 Plus does have is a telephoto lens, so this is going to give you optical zoom in good light, and from the same position you can see how much further we can go in, and that is absolutely great, especially if you want to grab some zoom. There's something you want to capture that's at a distance, then this is going to be very, very beneficial. And just to compare things like for like, if we were to compare the Pixel image at 200% compared to the iPhone 7 Plus telephoto at full resolution, you can see that we are going to be getting more detail because this is an optical zoom rather than a digital zoom. Now another feature that both have is the ability to blur the background. It's called portrait mode on the iPhone 7 Plus, and it's called lens blur on the Pixel. Now on the Pixel you do have to take the shot and then move your device up a little bit, whereas on the iPhone 7 Plus it does take it instantly using that telephoto lens. Also, you do have to move further back on the iPhone 7 Plus compared to the Pixel, so I try to get roughly the same sort of image on both here. And I think both are doing really, really well. Now moving on to low light shots. So this is indoors with only a very little bit of light, and here I think both are doing okay. Let's go in 100%, and I would give the edge here to the iPhone 7 Plus. It's a sharper image. If you look towards the text especially, you can notice that it is a lot sharper compared to the Pixel, and I believe this is because of the optical image stabilization on the iPhone 7 Plus, which is resulting in a slightly sharper image and reducing that handheld shake. Now going outdoors, so trying a low light test at night, I think both are doing good here. The Pixel XL definitely brighter here, and I think this is where the larger pixels do come into play, letting in more light, and we've also maintained a bit more color. But when we do go in 100%, you can see that the iPhone 7 Plus is once again sharper, and I do think this comes down to the optical image stabilization once again. Smartphone cameras use a slower shutter speed in low light situations to let in a little bit more light there, and with optical image stabilization it really does reduce that handshake. And finally, looking at an image using the flash, I think both are doing okay here. The colors are a little bit on the warmer side on the iPhone 7 Plus. On the Pixel they're a bit on the cooler side. I do prefer the Pixel a little bit better, it's not as harsh. But this will come down to your personal preference, I think. So there we have it, the SuperSaf style camera comparison between the iPhone 7 Plus and the Google Pixel. To summarize, I think for the front facing camera, I would have to give the overall edge to the Pixel. I think you had better dynamic range, a wider angle of view so you can fit in more subjects, and it was also sharper. For video, quality wise, I think both were really good. For dynamic range, if you looked at that clip, the Pixel seemed to be favoring the highlights a little bit more and maintaining those, whereas the iPhone 7 Plus was favoring the foreground a little bit more, where it was a little bit darker. So for quality, I would give it a bit of a draw. However, the Pixel XL was definitely quicker to focus. Now for stabilization, I think the electronic stabilization does really well actually, except for fast movement where it does get a little bit jerky. If you remember when I was running, it did get a little bit jerky. So I would call this one a little bit of a draw, because when I was walking slowly, I did prefer the stabilization on the Pixel. Now for outdoor images, I think both were really good. However, the Pixel did seem better for dynamic range. It did maintain details in things like clouds better compared to the iPhone 7 Plus. However, the iPhone 7 Plus does have that secondary camera, so if you do want to get optical zoom, that is going to be useful for you. Now for low light, I would call it a bit of a draw. The images were sharper on the iPhone 7 Plus because of optical image stabilization, but they were a little bit brighter because of the larger pixels on the Pixel. For audio, I'll let you go back and have a listen. I think it was a bit of a draw because both do still record in mono sound. We don't have stereo recording, which is a bit of a shame. That's what I think anyway. What do you think? Drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. If you want to see more images from lots of different devices, then definitely give me a follow on Instagram. I'm at SuperSaf TV. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And if you want to see a camera comparison between the Pixel and the Samsung Galaxy S7, then make sure you subscribe and switch on notifications because that will be coming soon. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time.